Hi, I'm Laura Wood.
And I'm Ciara O'Connor.
And this is FSM or X.
Woo!
Hey guys, Stephen Kinsler here from FSM or X, and today on the show we're talking about pregnancy, and we have our first guest host, David Dunn from CrossFit Powerful, and we're here with David's girlfriend. Yeah. Girlfriend? Yeah, okay. Didn't want to mess that up. Ciara, who's also a coach at CrossFit Powerful, and Ciara is now
33 weeks. Yeah.
33 weeks pregnant, and Laura is a client, and she has 3 kids, and she trained on her 3rd son Milo, and obviously she came back to training and her recovery. So we're talking about pregnancy today. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Alright, so it's not going to, Dave's going to be here a few more times. But the reason why we're talking about exercise and pregnancy is because there's a big taboo in regarding women shouldn't exercise when they're pregnant. They should kind of be wrapped up in cotton wool, and they should be looked after like precious fruit, and like, not that they're not precious, but they should be able to still get up out of bed, go to work, because they have to do these things. So, and if you're exercising, it's very important to keep exercising, in my opinion and from my experience. And David, you've had the kind of same, you've trained a few pregnant women before.
Absolutely. We've had a few girls that have been pregnant in the gym so far, even in the last year. Some of them had like morning sickness and couldn't train as intense, or maybe have gone back to a commercial gym because they want to use the swimming pool as well. But then Ciara's just been really lucky and had not a lot of morning sickness after her 12 weeks, but she had trained such high volume coming up to last year's Irish Showdown. She could scale back her weights, but not as much as most people would normally have to do. So she's been very lucky that she had a really good training cycle before she fell pregnant, and then just can finish the competition and then fell pregnant. So her training cycle didn't have to come back that much at the start, and now she's just starting scaling things back a lot more, obviously, now because it's the last 6 or 7 weeks. Like, but she was still hitting PBs in trimester 2 and doing WODs, still doing kip and pull-ups and stuff like that, and no problems whatsoever. Like, she's just been really lucky with no sickness. One of the other girls now has had sickness all the way through her pregnancy, and she's 1 or 2 weeks left. So it's a massive difference there. So it depends on the background of the client and what they need to do before they can, go into a new program or whatever.
And like Laura, Laura was one of my clients and then you told me, I think I was one of the first people to know.
Yeah, you had to be.
You had to be, the coach knows.
I was like, I don't dare tell anyone this. I hardly even told my doctor, so you better not be. But yeah, you were one of the first people to know. I think it's really important to go back to what you just said about knowing what your body is, because you said those other 2 girls would love to keep training, and they weren't able to. You're really lucky. Yeah. I didn't quite look like you when I was pregnant, but I'll get there. But the good thing, I suppose, is the thing my doctor said to me, the thing you said to me, is just trust your body on it. And that's the biggest thing. That's the thing that I should apply to everyone, whatever state of pregnancy they're in, is in. If you feel that you're able to do something, well then you're halfway there. And after that, I just had to ask you what your recommendations were. My doctor had said, do anything you had been able to do before. So if you weren't a horse rider or professional skier, don't take those up when you're pregnant. But anything you were doing, do before. And you were the same. You had said,
you obviously seek medical advice first, and if you've got a really supportive doctor, they'll tell you that it's negative to stop training if you've been training at such high intensity as I was. And I suppose, again, having a coach that you can trust and you can rely on, and feeling like you can trust what their judgment is, and then listen to your own body, because with CrossFit we push ourselves totally, and you're pushing yourself in your mind. You're like, I can do this, I can just 1 more rep. But you have to start listening to your body, and that's huge. And that's one of the biggest things I've taken from pregnancy, is just actually being okay with what I can do today. That's huge. And it's just
because you were competing. I mean, I wasn't, but I'm competitive. So I was like, my what times?
We all are.
So
you're looking at
you're like, I don't want to become like the person in the class that's like,
just very,
and so there is an element to that. But then, and also when people don't know you're pregnant.
And you can't say you're pregnant.
You can't say, and you're like, why is your times full?
We also did get a best Karen time. I know, and remember you got that? So she got the best Karen time in the gym, because all we could do was, we were doing EMOMs, like 5 wall balls every
lots
minute.
of wall balls.
You actually work on a lot of your weaknesses as well. There's things you don't spend time on.
And that's one of the things, like I've over the years I've trained a fair few, and some people, like my own sister, We tried to train, she couldn't. Slight hypochondriac, slight. But she doesn't watch the show. But she got very nauseous, very sick. Like you said, the girl in your gym now is kind of finds it tough. And then we had Catherine, who was here as well, and she was pregnant time. She trained for an extra, take 2, maybe 3 months. But again, she just got exhausted because of work and stuff. And she just had no. But like you were able to train through, and then depending on the day, depending on what we did, and we stuck to a lot of EMOMs, so you got a lot of rest periods. You're still like, we even see your videos where you're still doing like handstands, you're still doing kipping and stuff like that.
You're still doing handstands.
Wowzers. And I mean, you know, people are into yoga, they do it, and when you build up shoulder strength there, and you're push pressing overhead, and you know you're supporting those muscles, and you're doing it safely, it is fine.
And I think because you're strong, you're able to do that. There's no reason not to continue once it's in a safe environment. I know people kind of think, oh, that's a bit too much, but as I said, like you were able to press, you found it uncomfortable pressing weight above your head. Susan didn't, but you could do kipping and Susan couldn't. She just couldn't. If Susan could do kipping pull-ups, she was strict pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, but anytime she hung from that bar, she just didn't feel comfortable with it. So we stopped that, and then every day I was like, how do you feel? But then we had to, like you, I had to kind of rein you back more. Like, I want to go harder, I want to push harder, and I'll slow down. The same with like Susan. Like
you always said to me not to be too out of breath, to be able to have a conversation. And the other thing was not to. They say in further stages, like 2nd and 3rd trimesters, anything that's going to be having weight lying on your back. Because apparently your uterus isn't. You know,
it's gotten below parallel at the moment because my hips. You know, there's a lot of weight there that wasn't before. So just being aware of that, and it makes you actually really aware of your own body as well. You know.
What the pregnancy is actually doing to it, because when you think about it, it's putting strain on certain areas.
So and it's very empowering to be in the gym. You know, often the days that I don't want to be there are the best days because you know you've a lot of hormones going on, and you just don't feel yourself, and you're not really in charge of your body and how it's changing, and it kind of gives you control over that. When you've been there, you just feel great, even if it's a small bit that you're doing.
And as you said, hormones, how did that affect you?
Not too much, because there's so many other people in the gym, so I can just ignore it for a few minutes and go
slam the barbell.
No, not too bad.
You get
I'm going training now, I'll be back after. No, it's fine. Not too bad. She wasn't that bad at all. There's a few days like where she was a bit emotional and stuff, but I mean, like, she was training a lot, so I don't think it really affected her. I'd say she had to stop training for maybe 3 or 4 or 5 weeks back to back. She would have probably been a lot worse, and I would have been probably driving as far away as possible from the gym.
It's a mental escape being in the gym, you know, and you are part of a community, you know, especially, you know your own gym, and they're like family, and they're around, they're watching out for you, and they make you feel great on days where you're not feeling so strong, or you're lifting a weight that you know is only 40% of your 1 rep max, and they're going, wow, that's brilliant that you're still lifting that. And it feels empowering. And like that, there's women in our gym who have 1-year-olds, small toddlers, small children, and they're coming, and they often bring their kids as well to sit and watch, and they're watching everything they're doing. I just think that in itself as well is very empowering for the women and the kids.
Absolutely.
And how did you I know your experience, but how, like, people outside of FSM, people that didn't understand that you were lifting weights and stuff.
Well, the family are the big ones, like my mum. Oh, that'll be the end of that now. That little fad you're going through. What, the fitness?
Being healthy.
The becoming fit and healthy. No, but I totally get it. I get where she was coming from, because I was saying to her things like rep maxes and mentioning certain weights, and she was like, what? Like, you wouldn't understand. You don't unless you're actually going to do it. And in fairness, I could understand that. But what I had to try and explain to her was that, firstly, she most important to her was, what did Nick say, which was the family doctor, you know, and then less importantly, what did you say? Didn't trust you at all. No.
The cult leader.
But then she obviously understood, and when she really saw it, was I had to have sections. I had 3 sections, and when she really saw it was after, because that was my 3rd child. It was the child Milo was who I did the CrossFit with, and my recovery. It may have been slightly coincidental, it may have been down to the surgeon, but my recovery was 10 times better than my other sections. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, I was up and about in no time at all. And I really do believe that was in no small part down to just keeping fit and continuing to do what I was doing, you know.
And we weren't like kind of hammering you in the gym, like maybe push.
No.
That's what I think people think is like, oh, you're going to a CrossFit or even just a normal gym to train, that you're getting like, your coach is like literally, come on, move the bar. Like, it's like, no, we understand you're pregnant. Like, we need to bring you back. But how did your family find it? Or friends and stuff like?
It's funny. I was just saying, because they kind of assumed, they took it as a granted that I would stop, and because it becomes such a big part of my life, and I was coaching as well as training and competing. when I told them I was pregnant, they went, "Oh, that's brilliant, that's great news, but you're gonna miss the gym," you know. And it was like just a given that I wouldn't go. And when I said I was gonna go, there's definitely disbelief there, and I know that a lot of them, even though they wanted to be positive and supportive, I could feel that it was almost like, we'll see how long she can kind of manage this for. But now when they see the videos, I think, and when they see how strong I have been, and I've got very little back pain in relation to some of my friends who are pregnant and aren't training or aren't keeping active, it definitely speaks for itself, you know, and they see how happy it makes me. So it's just kind of something that you have to trust. Again, trust your body, trust your coach, trust your surrounding, and the community that we're within is supportive enough, I think. That,
absolutely. Yeah. And that was the same with this gym. There's a lot of support. But just in relation to what you just said as well, the recovery with the section, because they're cutting through so many layers of muscle.
Seriously.
It's not just those layers of muscle that need to be strong. Everything around it, I think, sort of holds it there together. So I read blogs about people standing up after they've had sections and being like, literally, they've no sort of support wall. Whereas I think with this, it strengthened everything. Yeah. So when I did actually get up and walk around after the section, as you've seen recently with Susan, you need that sort of, you know, so things like that.
That's it. Like Susan had a section, and the first day, the day after, the doctors came in, or midwives came in, and it's like, "Do you need painkillers?" She's like, "No, I'm okay." Yeah. And they kind of got concerned, like, "What's wrong?"
Here now, I don't know about that. she very different story.
She took Panadol, and then at night she took a Diphene, but she didn't take it. She won't take it. She didn't need it. Yes. She was walking, but she was walking around like and the thing was, we were seeing other women in the ward like walking around who were like hobbling.
Yeah.
And then Susan's like,
and
everyone's like, and then she was out within 2 days, and she wasn't taking painkillers after 3-4 days, and she was like, again, Panadol if she needed it, that was what she'd take, and like her recovery was great. Now I think she had a good pregnancy, and anyway, like she wasn't very nauseous. Like there was certain food she couldn't, obviously, the smell of certain things she couldn't. But generally, it was an all good pregnancy. But her recovery rate was phenomenal, like, and she's back squatting. She's back training. Well, she's very light training, but she's back squatting. But her scar is tiny. All the checkups, the doctors like, it's amazing. Like, look how good you're doing and stuff like that. And like
with you,
our latest midwife appointment, like she's just such an advocate for it, and she's been telling people she teaches yoga herself, and you know, they've put a gym into the library in the college where they're training midwives now, because they just believe it, you know, women have to stay active. We'd stop this kind of you know, belief that you just put your feet up and have 3 extra
and
meals.
eat whatever and you're eating for 2 as well, because you're not
she said it's just it's so important that, you know, women know that this is there, and and she said in her experience she's delivered a lot of babies, she said labour times are generally shorter, and babies are generally slightly healthier born, and women that are active throughout pregnancy, whatever that activity is, you know. So you know, there is just wait. It's whether the data is there, you know.
And it's also changing people's perceptions. Like you said, everyone originally was like, "I can't believe you." Whereas now they're like, "Oh, look at you, you're grand. You've managed to stay strong and do everything." And so then the next time someone says it to them, it's like anything. It's changing people, because Ireland can be a little bit
definitely backwards.
Stuck
in their ways as well.
I teach. I'm a post-primary teacher, and I was lifting a book onto a shelf one day, and someone said, "Oh, don't lift your arms over your head whatever you do," you know. And it's just sometimes you just have to go.
Well, you turn around with 100 kilo and went, "Watch this."
But that's what I love. Is like, you can't do that. But if you want to get a cup out of the cupboard, you have to do that repeatedly. So you like all the stuff you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to squat. You're not allowed to deadlift. But you have to pick something up off. You drop a bag. Or pick up shopping.
Your handbag.
You have to sit on the toilet like you're squatting. Like you're doing all the basic.
And when you have the baby, like you say, if you have to have a C-section, especially, you have to pick the baby up. You have to feed the baby. You know, you're putting the baby into.
So if your upper body's still strong, it's going to benefit you. If your legs are still strong, it's still going to benefit you. I think that's a huge aspect of it. But even like, again, like for me and you, when guys come to us, ladies, sorry, lads come in,
hopefully boys will come this one.
I'm pregnant. Sorry, that's not mine. But you can't, so people, even if people watch this show and like, oh well, I'm pregnant now, so I'm gonna go CrossFit, and you're like, well, no, because you don't have the previous history. Like Laura, you were training me nearly a year, or just close to a year before you were pregnant with Milo, and so you've done, and we knew where you were. You've been training for a while as well. You've been training years, so you know where your body is. You have built up a strength. It's not like, all right, I'm pregnant, let's learn how to deadlift. No, fair enough. Like, but if you're doing any sort of activity, and I think anyone doing activity, as you said earlier, will benefit you long term. especially in recovery. And I think that's the main thing. And now, this is just something I read, okay, for comments.
Mom, don't listen to this bit.
But a lot of postnatal depression can be due to the lack. Well, it was only an article, okay. I'll find it. I'll post it. True, because of you're so exhausted. Your body is it's gone through like either whether it's C-section or whether it's a normal labor, it's just purely exhausted, and you have no energy for your child, and then you start getting a little bit depressed because you feel like you're not being a good mum because of that reason. Now that's just an article I read. This is me,
not just
right?
that. Not just that. It's common sense. I didn't read an article to know that, like, you know, when you're like, oh, and you go out and do any form of exercise, right? Whether it's CrossFit, whether it's a run, a walk, you feel better. So it helps people, and I know this for a fact, that have just depressive nature. Same with postnatal depression. It tends to sort of be sort of out for the for the endorphins, and so, you know, from that point of view as well, it makes sense that it would be helpful exercise in general. You know?
And then sorry.
No, just again, our last midwife appointment, she said if I could give you one piece of advice for labour and for afterwards, you need stamina. And any kind of activity that's going to build up stamina and that kind of, you know, strong mental state is definitely positive, you know. And so that's ideal. CrossFit is ideal for that.
Yeah, and I think this is not only for CrossFit. I think people get confused that CrossFit has to be just crazy intense. Like you don't have to be into CrossFit to train in the CrossFit gym either. You can do personal training or still train with a coach and still keep up a healthy regime rather than going to the gym and going, oh, I'm pregnant now, I don't know what to do by myself. Doesn't mean you have to just give up everything. You can find a personal trainer or a coach, whether they're doing a CrossFit gym or not, that's going to help you. It doesn't matter if it's just CrossFit type training. You know, people get this idea CrossFit is a type of training, but
or that
you can change
like Olympic lifting and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't really do much of that, but I loved, for me, CrossFit. What I love about it is the whole variation, and that's always been the thing for me, being able to do lots of different things. So for me, I didn't compete, but I loved the
like I'd be an intrinsically kind of motivated person. I am motivated and I like to exercise, but the atmosphere in a gym, like a CrossFit gym or a gym where a coach, you've got a good coach looking over you, and you feel I'm confident that I'm doing this movement correctly and I'm going to see results from doing it, you know. And if I know if I was in a kind of a, you know, a Globo gym, that I would just feel, sure, what's the point, you know, especially in pregnancy, because you just feel so tired and you're not in charge of your body.
That's very true.
And it's very easy to lose confidence in what
I wouldn't recommend anyone that was pregnant and it isn't in it. Like, if you train on your own, I wouldn't recommend keep training on your own. I definitely would invest in a coach or a trainer, someone that's kind of experienced. Obviously the first person I coached that was pregnant, it was my first go at it, and I was shitting a brick, and I wouldn't let her do anything, and I was like, oh god, what's gonna happen?
She's gonna go into labour. She's gonna call it after me, and what am I gonna say to Susan?
But yeah, just make sure that the coach is qualified and they know what they're stuff. Like, there's all different types of trainers out there and stuff like that, but you just need someone that literally is every day is like how you feel. If you don't like whatever plans on the board, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're going to do. Depending on the day, you have to change it. But definitely going out and trying to do it on your own, unless you are really knowledgeable on what you're doing, I wouldn't recommend that in the slightest. I think like the success we've had with with yourself and Susan and like Catherine and a few other people that I've coached through over the years has been because we've kind of just communicated everything every day. And some people try, like you trained 2 to 3 times a week, right up to 4 weeks. Susan was the same, trained right up to 4 weeks, then she was just too exhausted. Catherine was 3-4 months in and then she had to stop. But it's kind of knowing, as you said, keep going back to knowing your body.
And sometimes your coach knows you better than you know. Dave Rudd did a workout for me the other day, and I was looking at it, it's so easy. And halfway through it, he was like, "How are we finding that?" And I was so out of breath. And you know, it's just it's about that. You realise how our bodies are, and we need that sometimes. I think
that's true. Absolutely.
And I think going back to what Stephen said, finding a coach that's knowledgeable. I actually trained a girl. I can't remember your name. I'm really sorry, but it was about 5 years ago. We're shy. We're not good coaches. We're not good trainers. But she was turned away from about, I think, maybe 7 or 8 different gyms because the trainers just were like, oh my god, I don't know what to do with this person. Like, they can't train in my normal class, they can't do what other people do. But it's not that case, it's the case of the client being able to portray what they feel like to the coach, and the coach needs to understand what they should do through all the trimesters, not just the first one or the second one, but also then having that relationship with your coach that you can talk to them and really feel like you can express how you feel, not be like, just, oh, I'm pregnant now, just train me. They can tell you any day, any time how they feel, let's change the program. But we took her on and she had a great time training, because she was afraid to go to a commercial gym because she didn't want anyone to drop weight near her and be around all that kind of environment. So she wanted a person trainer just to train on her own so she could feel safe while training, because she just generally loved training but didn't want to stop because she didn't know what to do by herself, you know. I think finding a coach that can do that for you is massively important than just quitting or getting lost. But to be turned away from a gym, I think, is very negative, you know. You can always train at some stage. We've built this motto in our gym, whether you're really obese, you can always train. If you're really overweight and older, or you have injuries, or you're pregnant, it doesn't matter what what your lifestyle is right now, you can still start somewhere and then continue from that point, you know.
And how did you find coming back training?
I found, as I said to you from the very beginning, as anyone that has a child will know, the sleep is an issue.
And I now know.
Yeah, I was saying to him, we'll see, you will see.
I was like, nah, I'm grand.
Yeah, because what then that affects you is, like, I love training, but when you're really, really tired, and I was breastfeeding and stuff, so I was like, I actually can't do it today. Like, I physically don't think I can even lift something. And there were days like that. So it was, I think it was about 5-6 weeks or something like that, and I said, okay, I'll give it a go, and we come in and it was gently. But I was astonished by how the short amount of time it sort of took me to get back then.
Yeah.
If ever there was an issue, it was tiredness. Do you know what I mean? And then so forth, then lack of energy, and you know, I'd be like, oh. But I found it didn't take long at all before I started building my strength up, and then that made a difference to me, having a bit of pep in my step in relation to dealing with the 3 brats, children I had at home. Angels.
Because that's the same thing as Susan now. So Susan's back doing a bit of squatting, and she's like, oh, 60 kilos for reps is embarrassing. And I'm like,
take a
people in the gym that are 60 kilo for reps is a 1 rep max, you know. But she's like, oh well, she doesn't want to do Karen, and Karen's a favourite workout because she's got the best score. She doesn't want to do that because she knows she won't beat her score. She'll probably add about 2 minutes. I'm like, you just had surgery. And
it is hard though, it's so hard in your mindset.
I think that as a coach, when you go back, and for me having Susan back and yourself back, is like, you know what you were able to do, and your body
impatience.
It's just impatience. And it's like if you get injured and you're like, oh yeah, I was able to do this, and I want to go back to that, and you're like, well, it's going to take about 4 months. That doesn't want. I'll just try it anyway.
It's one of the many frustrations. It's like the hair falling out after you've had it. It's all grown lovely and thick, and you're like, oh, hair, and then your hair falls out. You're like, really? So labour takes ages to go back training, and my hair falls out. And you,
put it. Oh God, they're whingy. My back, rub my back. Your back. So you were, when you came back, you found it, like, again, as you say, you're tired and exhaustion. How long before you start kind of, obviously that only all depends, I suppose, individually, because if Milo's up every night and the other 2 are up, it just
depended. We weren't straight back into sit-ups or anything, obviously, but like started getting very soon back into strength and deadlifting and that sort of thing, and building back up the muscle groups again. And before I think because I was so determined, it wasn't long before I was back up to my 1 rep max of things, because I was like, I need to get back there again now. I've been long enough. Like 9 months is a long time. It really is.
And you know before anyone.
And you're like, and then you're breastfeeding, whatever, it's recovery, it's another 2 or 3 months. That stage it's a year. So you're like, really?
And people are kind of going, oh God, it's absolutely flying in. And you're like, it is. But I'm pregnant every day, every minute. You should see me once a week.
I like that. I'm pregnant every day. That's good.
So, but it is, and it's a mental thing. And again, your coach knowing you, I'm going to have to rely on Dave when I come back, and I'm trusting my own body, but just know not to push it too soon, because
if you do that, you could be in serious trouble.
You're knocking yourself back again. So,
and even like we had Tanya, and there's a video online for Tanya's promotional video, and she had 3 sections, and she couldn't physically sit up. Like because she didn't exercise before children, and after children, I think Kai was 1 or 1.5 before she started training with us, and she physically, her abdominals were so scarred and weak she couldn't sit up, and it took her 6 months to do one sit up. And we have it on video. We actually posted the video because she did one and we made her do two, and you can see the struggle. But she had to just do that. She was doing one of those, kind of just fingertips to the tops of the knees, and that's where she was. Now Tanya is a powerhouse. Like she deadlifts 120. Like she squats well. She wants to squat bigger. Her goal is now 100 kilos. But she's this little pocket rocket, and she's so strong. But when she came to us, because she hadn't exercised, and she's an advocate of like, yeah, everyone should lift weight. Women should be lifting weights, being stronger. And when it comes to being pregnant, if you have exercise, you should still be exercising, and it's very important. Obviously, depending on, like, we have a friend currently now, Elle, and she's just, everything's making her sick. She's barely getting to work because of how she's feeling. And she can't exercise because of that, and that's unfortunate. But that's obviously everyone's different. But I think kind of the whole point is that if you are exercising, or if you think about having children, you're with someone you love and you want to have children and all that, and you're married and all.
This is turning into a whole other section. Light a candle there,
Definitely, if your plan is to, I suppose, if your plan is to have children in the future, like, definitely you should be exercising. You should be if you want to have a more comfortable pregnancy, better recovery, and just feel better. Like, if you want to still do handstands, then like, proof. Right.
The other really important thing is, for someone like me who absolutely loves her food, when I'm training, the nutrition goes in with it, because that's the only time that I really stick to it, because then I'm like, what's the point in doing that WOD if I'm going to go and have a bag of chips afterwards? Now, don't get me wrong, there'll still be the odd bag of chips, but the point of trying to make, I suppose, that's a really important thing, because when you're training well, you're usually eating well, and that's another reason that the pregnancy is going to be easier, because on my first one, I convinced myself I had a what's it called, craving for ice cream, and it was just like, come on now, do you know what I mean? But and then you put on all this weight,
socially supported as well.
Exactly, but it's so hard to lose it afterwards. Then you struggle, and each time it gets a bit harder. So I suppose the less work you have to do when the baby's born, the better. I mean, you're literally going to, came in, we were like, is there something in your pocket? Oh, you're pregnant. So the baby will come out, and then that'll be, you'll have very little work to do, which is great.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
It is, but it's just that consistency of
keeping it there. And
even I found, like, because I remember when we found Susan was pregnant, I was like, well, you're not going to be eating for fucking two. We're going to be legit here. And then, like, after, like, I want takeaway. Okay. I was like, I'm not poking the bear here.
I think you get to the third trimester and you're so full of baby, there's not a lot of room there for food.
But that's the thing, she ordered all food and she'd only eat a small bit, and the mommy like, I suppose I'll eat it. I'm gaining weight. It was winter there. Okay, so we're going to wrap things up a little bit. So just we're going to get a point, kind of. So Dave, from you, if anyone has exercised and is kind of looking to kind of is pregnant or is hoping to be pregnant and stuff like that, like kind of a point or a tip, and we'll just kind of get tips from everyone.
Yeah, like I think if you're definitely planning a pregnancy and you know when it's going to be, or you're trying to time it, definitely start training beforehand, because you're going to have way higher energy levels and you're going to be a lot stronger, and then you can at least keep up some sort of capacity during your pregnancy, which is, again, like the girl said, going to help your labour a lot more, and also your recovery. I know we dug deep into the States and had a look at all the CrossFit girls only and see what the CrossFit girls were doing and what their recovery was like and what their baby's health was like after pregnancy, and we found the results. Just because it was when I'm saying CrossFit is the best way to exercise it for pregnancy, but the CrossFit girls had a better rate of success with really good labours, really good recovery, and their babies were healthier than any other type of exercise in general. And I think that's mainly because the amount of broad modalities we can train in CrossFit and the amount of variety you can do, so you're not just restricted to walking on a treadmill or swimming. If you've built up that strength beforehand, like Ciara was doing lots of strict work before, because that was in our program, so lots of ring dips, lots of strict pull-ups, because she wants to get butterfly pull-ups and muscle-ups and stuff like that. So I think that allowed her to help keep training at some sort of capacity a lot more than other people, because she had done that for so long. So definitely get onto a training program as soon as you know you're going to plan a pregnancy. And if you're already pregnant and you didn't realise, or you didn't plan it too well and you weren't exercising, don't just go, let's join CrossFit because you've seen this video. Definitely still go exercise. You can walk, you can swim, you can go on a bike. It doesn't have to be massively intense, but your doctors and your coaches or your trainers will tell you what's important for you to listen to and what to do. But there's lots of stuff online now for what to do during trimester 1, 2 and 3, or a good trainer will know what to do during trimester 1, 2 and 3 in general. Like if you've been doing anything up to before your pregnancy for 6 months or more, you can still do pretty much all of that in trimester 1 unless there's an injury or a sickness or some sort of contraindication that your doctor has mentioned that you can't do anything. Like I know Ciara's, your first few weeks, you're finding your chest and stuff is getting a bit tighter, so keeping pull-ups and stuff are like, right, let's pull them back a little bit, and then we strengthen the lower back a lot more, doing good mornings and some stuff like that, and deadlifts and stuff. That's now helped her because she's not carrying as much pain in her back when she's a little bit heavier, a little pregnant now. So, but she's still able, can you still kip now? You can still do a few.
Yeah.
So she's able to still kip now and do handstands, because we took away the kipping for a while and put back in some strict work focused on the lower back, and then done that for a few months, and then she's still able to kip now and still do handstand push-ups.
Yeah,
she can still do pretty much everything except snatch and squat clean and bench press and toaster bar.
Yeah, not like.
So
those 4 things.
Yeah, just
So so welcome back. Obviously we ran out of footage because we're having so much fun talking. So I don't know how much we caught on Dave. Obviously we can put the show together, we'll find out.
Just the last minute, like last 10 seconds of his conversation.
Alright, so it's the last 10 seconds or so. It's grand, so he was waffling on it, it's grand. Anyway. But yeah, Dave's point is valid. So Ciara, any tip for, obviously you're going through it, like me and Dave can say what we want, but you're actually,
but it's different for every girl, and I think just respecting everybody, you know, and their own journey that they're on. I think if you are pregnant or you're thinking about getting pregnant, definitely keeping active is really important, and finding a trainer that you can trust and a gym that you feel comfortable in and confident in is huge, because that will motivate you and that will keep you going throughout it. And I suppose people will always be supportive at home, and then you'll have people that will kind of question what you're doing, but if you know and your coach knows that what you're doing is right, you'll see and you'll feel the strength that you get from training and staying active. It just speaks for itself. I'm in my 3rd trimester now. You know, I've gained 9.5 kilos, and that's really healthy for this stage of pregnancy, and you know, everything to do with the pregnancy. I've been very lucky, and then I've also supported that with exercise and nutrition. So it's been really good. Yeah.
And Laura?
Yeah, listen to your body. That's the thing. Everyone just you have to listen to your body. You have to know what your limits are. You have to realise, okay, I'm out of breath now, I shouldn't be doing this, or look up, listen to your doctor, listen to your coach, and and get the nutrition tied in there too, because that's going to make you feel good as well. And when you start getting the healthy hair and the healthy skin and all that, and you're like, oh, I'm glowing, and then you have to go through labour section, and then you have a child at the end of it, which is amazing. Yeah.
So guys, when this show comes out, you might have a
hopefully we'll have a new member in the gym.
Cool. So guys, thanks for watching the show. My point on it is, ladies, do your Kegel exercises. So you know, double unders, if you're a CrossFitter and you do double unders and you're pregnant or you've had kids, tends to be a bathroom break, doesn't there?
Not when you've had sections, thank God. That's why I had them for double unders.
But guys, thanks for watching the show. Subscribe below. We're going to put some links to CrossFit Mum. Is that one of the sites you were looking at? CrossFitMum.com. CrossFit Mum, and some other kind of. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't have to be CrossFit. It can be strength and conditioning. It can be I think Zumba, yoga, walking, running. I don't know about running. I didn't research running for pregnant women.
Yeah, we have runners in our gym.
It's all right. So once you're happy and healthy and everything's going well and you have good people supporting you, then like exercise in pregnancy, in my opinion, is a positive thing. And obviously you've seen, so from 2 people, one person that's going through it and one person that's like has been there and done that. So yeah, definitely something you should always think about if you are going to have kids is being healthy. You should want to be healthy in any way, have a healthy, happy lifestyle. Say goodbye. Thanks. Done. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the show, head over to our YouTube channel, FSMRX, where you can subscribe and get all the latest shows from FSMRX and Coffee Topics. And guys, don't forget to check out all our latest shows, subscribe to the channel, and share with your friends. Check out FSM on social media. Just go to Facebook, FSM Bray, give us a like, contact us. You'll see all the latest information on events, articles, and latest goings on of all the clients, members, and what we do here at FSM. Or you can head over to Instagram, FSM.Bray, hashtag us, give us a like at FSMRX, and again you can see all the fun, silly, and downright strong things we do at FSM.